Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and in this video we will be going through the transformation of this guitar, which some of you may remember from an earlier video series where I transformed an Explorer into this glitter guitar. Well, it turns out I've never played it since the video, and it's just not my thing. But I really like the electronics in it, and I really like the neck, which is right here. I'm going to slap that back on for a second. So what I'm going to do is transform it into a Partscaster. So this body I bought from Amazon for $40. It is not great. It is super lightweight. The grain pattern's nice. Those are the positives. And the holes are generally in the right places. However, there are a number of negatives. The wood is so light that if you even look at it, it dents. Nothing is perfectly lined up at all as far as the neck pocket. This line is crooked here. The bridge route is not great either. So there's going to be a lot of work involved in this project. I am going to undertake the rest of this video will be a series of short check-ins as I make progress on the project. I am not going to be filming the entirety of the project in real time because there are going to be many hours going into this behind the scenes. So let me move the glitter guitar and I'll briefly describe what I'm going to be doing over the course of the next few hours or days or however long, and then you'll see the result. So my biggest challenge is that this neck is not like a standard Fender size. This is a Dean neck. It's a shrimp fork neck. It is designed to work on a Stratocaster type body, which is what I harvested the neck from. If we take a look here, you know, when you just look at it like that and in general, you go, oh, okay, well, that's a good fit. The problem is that this route doesn't match the contour on the neck, so I have to address that issue. I have to figure out where the holes are going to go to attach the neck, and the neck is sloppy in the pocket, so it's not tight. So I can't use the pocket as a general reliable guide. Also, I am not convinced that pocket is straight in how it will line up with the bridge. So I will be using the neck plate as a template on both the neck and the body to guide where I'm going to drill the holes. Long and short of it is, with a guitar body of a lightweight wood like this that dents when you even look at it, I have one shot to drill in most of these holes. Yes, I could plug them. Yes, if I make a mistake, it could be correctable. But in general, with something like this, I want to get it right the first time. So I'll be going off camera, and the next time that you see me, we will hopefully have this neck successfully attached to this body and straight so that we can figure out our bridge placement, because that's going to be our next step after that. Because if we don't have a straight neck on the body, we got no guitar. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Hello, and I'm back. So I have managed to get the neck on. I'm holding it in with 2 screws at the moment, and when you look at this, if you look at this, it is crazy town. We've got grain running. Nothing is straight. There's not a straight line anywhere to be had. And getting this neck lined up so that it will work. Where did I do with my bridge? Oh, it's sitting over here. It has strings on it right now because I was using those to line up. But anyway, I used my bridge and the strings going through the nut up and through with a minor amount of tension informed me on the final placement of the neck. It actually ended up lining up dead center with the lines on either side. The neck is narrower than the neck pocket, however, so that made things also get a little wacky. And I mean, seriously, this line here is a full like 5 degrees off. If you look at the plate and then you look at the wood, So I will be massaging all of these things after I get the basic, structural integrity of the guitar in place. My next step, now that I have the neck on and I have it lined up, now I can work on my bridge placement. And the way that I'm going to start that is I will install the claw. Then I will put the tremolo in with 2 springs very loosely holding it. And I will move that around with my 2 guide strings on the low E and the high E. And I will determine where my posts will go. Now, will I drill for the full post? Absolutely not. I'll be pulling out the little anchors and just screwing those into the wood to get my hole placement. Then I will string it up, bring it to tension, and check for intonation issues. And then that way, if I do end up having to move my post holes for the final, insert, I'll have wiggle room. I should have a good 2 or 3 millimeters any direction wiggle room if I just use the screws instead of the entire post. All right, that is my tip. This was fraught. This wood, and by the way, you'll see a little Phillips head screwdriver mark there. My hand slipped and it went deep. So we will be doing a repair on that later when we sand the body and prepare it for finish. For now, I'm going to move on to the bridge. Once I have the bridge placed, then things will move a little bit more quickly. All of this took me about an hour and a half to figure out, and before I committed to drilling those holes. Like I said, the crazy sauce is in the fact that there is nothing straight anywhere. And it's all crazy. But believe it or not, with the neck placement where it's at, the bridge cavity does look like it's straight. All right, we'll see you next time with the bridge. Hello, I am back. And at this point, I'm going to take the pick guard away here. At this point, I have the bridge successfully placed. Sorry for the noise there. So, we now have a functioning tremolo. I just put the screws in instead of the studs. I just screwed right into the wood, which this wood is very forgiving, too forgiving. So it's quite easy to do that. It was like putting together IKEA furniture or something. So I just have 2 springs back here and the claw are installed. I started with the claw with 1 spring, and then I positioned the bridge, had my tester strings slack, and made sure that they lined up with the neck and the nut so that we had a playable instrument as a potential outcome. So when I do go ahead and drill the official holes for the studs for the screws to go into, I do have a few minor adjustments. This one right here by the tremolo arm, it will come forward maybe a 1/64 of an inch, maybe even, just a tiny bit. And then I'm going to shift the tremolo over by about a 32nd of an inch, maybe even less than that. My strings are fine where they are now, but I'd like to see this high E scooch in just a hair, and I've got plenty of room over here for the low E to be scooted just a hair. So I have those notes, and I will refer to those when I go ahead and drill those holes. Now, let's go ahead and put our pick guard back on as we're mocking the project. And I will line it up with my tremolo and the general body lines and with my neck here. And as you can tell, it's gonna shift around a little bit. This is a square. The neck is square at the bottom, and obviously this is a Strat pick guard, so it's rounded. We will have to, with our first step with the pick guard, get it to fit around the neck pocket, nice and neat. We want it to be tight because it's going to dictate where we put our holes for our pickups, which are going to be our next big deal. But in the meantime, the next time you see me, I will be probably just showing the fitment of the pick guard there with a mock-up of the pickup rings to go ahead and start making those holes. The pickup rings are going to be a little bit fraught. It's really, really critical I get those right. I am going to be using the trim rings, so I will have a little bit of wiggle room. I'm going to put the black trim rings and screw them into the pickguard itself with the mini humbuckers. So, because this guitar is literally just taking all the guts out of the glitter guitar and rehousing them in this Strat format with a Wilkinson tremolo. All right, we'll see you next time in a few minutes. Actually, it'll be no time at all for you with that stage of the process, getting the pickguard put together and figuring out where our pickups are going to go. Once we have that lined up, things will start kind of cruising even more. All right, see you in a minute. Here we are again, a mere second later. And so since the last video, I have gotten the tremolo and its and the anchors put in. So the tremolo is fully installed at this point. This is going to fall off, but I can hold the guitar up now. This is some of my blood. I did prick myself and ended up bleeding a little bit on the guitar body. But yeah, the studs are in, the screws are in for the tremolo. It's got the springs in the back. This is all lined up, looking good. My strings are sitting nicely on the fingerboard. I did notice though, this nut came with the neck, and I noticed the strings are a little close in from the edges, like they're actually in further than I would normally have them. But I've always played the guitar and loved it that way, so and never really noticed it till I started doing all this work and lining all these things up. So getting this lined up and getting those studs put in there took a little bit of doing. I did have to shift them a little bit, as I said in the previous video. This one did come forward slightly, and they both shifted this direction slightly. And this wood is like, it's like balsa wood. So it's very soft, very difficult to work with. I have had to do a little bit of reinforcing of the wood using a lot of glue and making a slurry with sawdust just to reinforce certain areas. Like when I put the studs in, I definitely made sure that I had a lot of material in there that was going to harden up and really hold those studs steady, because I'm worried about the softness of the wood and using the vibrato system that eventually, you know, those anchors are going to start wobbling around. And let's hope that does not happen. They're in there nice and tight, and like I said, they have plenty of material. The pick guard. So last time I talked about how I was going to have to cut this pocket. Let me grab something really quick. So to get the pocket right, I used this old crappy pick guard that I had laying around that's delaminated. This actually came off of the quote-unquote Earthcaster, which has since been repurposed back into its original form as a 2004 Mexi Strat. Anyway, enough about that. This pick guard was laying around. It's delaminated. It's no good. So I used it to make my template. So that way, if I made mistakes or if I screwed up, it would be on this pick guard and not my main pick guard. Doing that was a lifesaver. So we have ourselves a very well-fitting pick guard. It's nice and tight. I mean, it's just held in there right now by pressure. I have looked at the pickup cavities and figured out that I can kiss this right up to the edge. What I'm going to do right here, if it is hanging over the bevel of the white just a hair, I'm actually going to bevel that in and blend it so that it'll look nice and of a piece. These covers are also going to get much, much thinner. I'm going to sand them down and just use them more as just like to cover up my sins when I put the mini bucker holes in. But we're there. The next step is doing the mini bucker holes. Once I get that done, I will probably just go ahead and start working on control holes. I am going to be putting a hole in the body here because I would like to have kind of the Alex Lifeston switch right here, and just a tone and a volume here. So we'll see you in a second. All right, so now we have a very good approximation. Oh, my mock just fell. But anyway, I have an approximation of where the tone knob and the volume knob and the pickup selector switch are going to be. And the pickups are in. I have not put the screws yet in the trim rings because I'm going to sand those down even further to lower the pickups a little bit more. I do have plenty of clearance right now with the strings, but yes, it was quite a process to line everything up. Since I had my bridge already in place, I did use a high E and a low E to line up the pickup holes where they go. Let's pop the pick guard off here. Oh wait, I've got the pick guard still attached here, but I will unscrew this real quick. I dremeled out the holes for the pickups, and they turned out nice and neat. And the trim rings fit perfectly, and the pickups are all lined up. So you can see here that my pickup holes are very tight. I could, if I cleaned up those holes a little bit more, I could get away with not using the rings. But I like the look of the rings on here. So now that I have all the hard work done, this is like the worst part of the whole process. Getting your neck lined up, getting your bridge lined up. Let me go ahead and take this output jack plate off. And then getting your pickups lined up on the pick guard for a parts caster like this. If you were doing it without the pick guard, you would obviously be lining them up within the body. If it were not a Strat style instrument, if it was something more like a Les Paul Jr. or something of that nature. So we have our pickups lined up and installed for the most part. The next step on the pick guard will of course be putting the switch in and then my pots and wiring it, but that's not going to be happening right away. The next big job will be, I'm going to remove the neck. We're going to take care of all these weird lines because this body is so off-brand that things aren't right. So I'll be sanding this to get it to match the plate. We'll be working on some of the contours around the neck pocket. This thing came pretty much rough sanded, very rough sanded, but I have to be super careful because this material is so soft. Now, one more note before I sign off for this check-in. When I installed the bridge studs, as I alluded to in the last check-in, the wood was very soft. I have long-term concerns about these studs staying in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of steel band behind the block here up against this part of the body, and then I'll have two little adjustment screws that will go into where the studs are living in the wood to hold them stable for the long term. So I'll screw the steel band into the good solid wood that I have surrounding on the either side and in the middle of the studs, and then I will put two adjustment screws that will go into the studs to hold them steady. So I'm going to be undertaking work on the body to start getting it ready for finish and getting those mods done. So the next time I check in, the body should be ready to go, and then I will probably begin working on the pick guard and getting it ready. And that's it for right now. It's so weird doing this as just little check-ins because days have passed. All right, see you in a second. All right, so I have sanded the body. I reshaped the neck pocket up here, the neck heel, so that it is straight when you have the plate there, because that was a huge issue. So now that's all squared away. I know that I said that I was going to put a steel band in here and screws to hold these, the tremolo or vibrato, depending on how you like to call it, to hold the tremolo in. These studs, I was concerned that they might shift over time, and I was going to put a reinforcement band in. Then I realized very quickly that I did not have enough clearance in here to sink screws effectively. The wood is so soft that mucking about with it, trying to do that, I was afraid of doing more damage So what I did is I made, let's see here, where's my mahogany dust? Using mahogany dust right here and a mixture of wood glue and a little bit of water, I impregnated the inside of this block right in here with that, highly compressing it, clamping it in, and doing repeated applications to create material that is actually harder, much harder than the existing wood, to reinforce that area where the studs live, because they live right there, and there's just a razor thin amount of the soft wood was holding the back end of those studs in. So I think that will keep them steady. I did finish sand the body as well as I could. Given that this is candle nut wood, which is actually what it is, it's like I've been saying, it's incredibly soft. But I sanded down the studs smooth with the wood, trying to eliminate as much of the tear out as possible by filling it with super glue and sawdust from the body itself. So hopefully when I put the finish on, it's going to be a translucent finish. Hopefully when I put that on, that won't be too noticeable. The bridge and the pick guard will be right there with strings going over it, so this area won't be receiving too much scrutiny. The plan now for the body is that I'm going to be using unicorn spit to do a translucent orange finish on it. We're going to see how that goes. It's going to be interesting. I may film some of that in real time. We'll see. But the next check-in, I will be showing off the pick guard as I populate it and wire it. All right, back in a second. It's as if no time at all has passed. All right, at this point, as I said in our last check-in, the body is pretty much ready for finish at this point, and now the pick guard has been fully populated. I decided to go with the switch right here. I kind of did some test fitting, whereas, because I like to do a lot of palm muting, especially for rhythm work. So I wanted to make sure that my volume knob was out of the way, my tone knob, obviously where it would be anyway. And then my switch, so I can just flick it with my pinky. So I have everything fitted. I fitted it into the body. Everything works great. I have tested it. I always, when I populate a pick guard or I do any sort of wiring, I test it before the final install because it's much easier to go back and fix anything that's not working. I had forgotten I always forget this. I forgot to ground my tone pot to my volume pot. But now everything's working great. We have a TBX tone control, so that will have some bass roll off and some high roll off, which is super nice. And we've got a push-pull pot on our volume to split the coils in both pickups. So there we go. We have our electronics. They're fully functioning. We have a body ready to paint. And that's about it. We're going to be looking at the unicorn spit as I apply it and see if that's going to end up working out for a finish. All right, see you in a moment. I am back, and as you can tell, I have applied the unicorn spit, this product right here. It is water soluble, and the cool thing about it is you can kind of mix it to your desired opacity. I wanted to show a lot of wood grain, so this is a fairly diluted solution of the pigment. Very happy with the way this has turned out thus far. Now I move on to the application of clear polyurethane. This does have a slight amber tint, which I'm hoping will kind of, mellow out a little bit of this neon color. It's going to take a lot of coats of poly so that I won't sand through when I sand it down and stuff. I don't want to hit the color. So I will be applying a lot of coats of polyurethane over the next week or so until I get it built up to the point where I can do a really good thorough sand on it, get a nice gloss finish, and then we will move on to buffing and final assembly. I will probably do one more check-in before final assembly just to show the body after it's all buffed and everything, and we'll be moving on. I will be leaving the studs in to keep poly from going down into the threaded area. So I'm just going to tape off these, tape off the screws and start applying poly. It's going to be a long process, but in the end, I'm hoping for a really nice high gloss finish with, like I said, all that beautiful wood grain showing through the orange pigment. All right, on to poly. So here we are. I decided not to show the application of the gloss and the wet sanding. I put 7 coats of polyurethane on it with a slight amber tint that I thought would go well with the unicorn spit orange, and it's a nice translucent finish. I wet sanded from 400 to 600 to 1500, and then I buffed it out using Meguiar's Diamond Cut Compound. So we have a nice gloss finish on it. It's a little rustic, which I like, kind of in keeping with the age of the neck. So here we are. We have the Orange Partscaster. I am so pleased with this guitar. I've been playing it for about 2 weeks now, and its tuning stability, the usability of the vibrato system is incredible. Love this 2-point trim. I just never had a home for it before that I was satisfied with. The neck is bulletproof as it always has been, and the mini buckers really came alive being in this platform. All that being said, it is a guitar that I actually play now. Played it infinitely more than I ever did the Sparkle glitter guitar that hung on the wall. It was a fun project. I'm going to keep the body. Maybe I'll see if somebody wants it. If you're interested, leave me a comment. But anyway, let's take a little listen. All right, we're on the bridge pickup clean right now. So really nice sparkly tones there. We are still in humbucker mode. And I should mention I'm playing through the Acoustic Control Core 117 combo. It's a 1977 and currently clean. When I do kick on a little bit of dirt, it will be one of my Electra pedals that I build. So anyway, let's take a listen to the bridge pickup split coil. So it thins out nicely there, and we'll go ahead and go up to the neck pickup. And that is also in split coil. All right, put that back in humbucker mode. So I'm very satisfied with the sound of the pickups, and then of course you have the middle mode, and I'll do my... And that sounds great clean as well. Throw a little dirt on, go to the neck. I'm going to keep it in humbucker mode for this part. We'll go to the bridge. And And there you have it. A little bit of dirt, the neck, the bridge. Everything sounds really, really good. The guitar came together quite well. So I do have the split coil going on the volume there. Simple toggle for the pickup selector. And this is a TBX tone control. Roll it this direction and you roll off your treble. And then you've got your bass in the other direction with a little cut. Whoops. Well, I lost my pick, but I'm not planning on playing anymore. And that is okay. So the long and short of it is, I felt the need to transform this guitar into a platform that I would actually use. And all I did was change the body shape. I'm finding more and more that Stratocasters are my default setting when it comes, I'm just going to turn my dirt pedal off, it's making some noise there, when it comes to ergonomics and how I feel comfortable. So, rather than live with a guitar that had cool mini buckers in it, that I don't have any other guitars with mini buckers, so I just decided to change the platform and find usability for all these parts that were just kind of sitting dead on a body that did not appeal to me. So it just goes to show how sometimes you have to go through many, many, many iterations of an instrument to get to where you're at. Another final note here, this was the cheapest guitar body on Amazon, and it ended up being okay. Was it cut perfectly? Did I have to do some work on it to get it to be fully functional? Of course, but I didn't expect anything less than that. But for a $40 piece of wood with most of the routing already in it, I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out, and it's also such a lightweight instrument. This thing weighs about 6 pounds, so that's pretty incredible, and I'm super stoked about it. All right. Well, I'd love to hear in the comment section about any DIY projects that others have done with Partscasters to transform things into instruments that they end up ultimately loving. I did not love this guitar until I did it this iteration, and I'm super glad that I did. All right, please smash that subscribe button for me. Likes and shares are always appreciated, and hit me up in the comments, and we'll see you next time. Take care.